one was just 16 at the time. She says that the 30-year-old brand groomed her.
They fear one thing above all else.
The theory that the people you interact with online do not exist.
And trust me, once you see this, you can't unsee it. These are the terrifying last days of the internet. What I'm about to share with you is going to shake you to your core. It's going to leave you questioning everything you thought you knew to be true.
Millions of Americans own a personal computer. If you're one of them, you can now glimpse the future with nothing more than a modem, a phone line, and a few dollars a month.
Tonight, the information superhighway and one of its main thoroughfares, an online network called Internet.
I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison?
About 1 in 3 American households has bought that theory and purchased a PC. But what they didn't tell you is that life does not get easier right away. For many newcomers, PC stands for pain and confusion.
The age of technology and the internet has made it so information is available faster and is more accessible than ever before. What you're consuming is a diet of controlled messaging, ideas, and thoughts, all orchestrated to paint the picture they want you to see. But who are they? We'll answer that question, but first I want you to visualize Apple's iconic commercial that first aired during the Oakland Raiders' blowout win over the Washington Redskins in Super Bowl 18. While 78 million viewers watched Marcus Allen carve up the Washington defense, Apple debuted its now legendary 1984 ad, a commercial hailed as one of the greatest of all time. The ad channeled the spirit of George Orwell's 1984, warning against blind government conformity. It depicted a mass of mindless clones marching into an auditorium to hear Big Brother, an authoritarian figure, on a giant screen delivering a fiery speech. Then a woman, distinct, rebellious, hurls a sledgehammer at the screen and shatters it and the attention of the crowd. Sparks fly, the crowd is stunned, the screen fades to black. Then the words, "On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh." And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984. Fast forward about 40 years, Orwell's 1984 warning of governmental control has deceptively tiptoed into your life through every news feed and algorithm you're watching. As you consume a steady stream of state-manufactured and approved propaganda, do you realize you're being molded to think and respond in a way that those with the most power want you to think? Because this isn't freedom, it's programming.
Iconic dance moves are sweeping the internet and winning him a lot of fans across the globe. Trump's dance moves were on show throughout and even after his election campaign.
You may believe you're browsing the internet for the latest news, but every headline, every trending topic, every fact check is not to inform you, it's to steer you and to shape your opinions before you ever get the chance to question them. And the scariest part, you didn't even realize it's happening. But you will. Because today, I'm going to show you exactly how what you consume online is a curated illusion built to keep you docile, distracted, and dependent. And trust me, once you see this, you can't unsee it. It is the same story told over and over again. A government rises to power through manipulation, coercion, and just enough false hope to keep people believing. But gaining power is only the beginning. Holding on to it requires a different kind of strategy. Backroom deals, manufactured crises, and a relentless grip on public perception become the new priorities. This is nothing new. In 1917, the Committee on Public Information turned World War I into a patriotic spectacle, flooding Americans with pro-war messaging. By World War II, the Office of War Information worked directly with Hollywood to push pro-Allied and anti-Nazi narratives. Then came the Cold War and Operation Mockingbird. The CIA placed agents inside major news outlets to make sure people only heard what the government wanted them to hear. Now the battlefield has shifted to the digital world. The government no longer needs to pressure journalists when it can control the flow of information at the source. Newspapers and radio have been replaced by algorithm-driven news feeds and search engines that filter messaging. Social media platforms have become tools for mass persuasion. Every trending topic, viral video, and so-called fact check is part of a larger strategy. The methods have evolved, but the objective remains the same: control the narrative. The most chilling part is that most people have no idea they are being manipulated at all. The internet was supposed to be the great equalizer, a place where free speech thrived and power rested in the hands of the people. Instead, it's become the most effective surveillance and control system ever created. As tech giants rose, they didn't push back against government overreach. They rolled out the red carpet. Under the excuse of fighting hate speech and fake news, they handed over digital public spaces, turning once neutral platforms into precision-engineered propaganda machines.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg says he won't remove a post by the president that Twitter said glorified violence. The tech billionaire says he is upset about the president's rhetoric, but also says Facebook is determined to stand by freedom of expression.
At first, it looked like private companies enforcing their own rules, but it quickly became clear that big tech and Big Brother were working together, making sure only the right narratives reached the masses glued to their glowing screens. Then came the Twitter files, the leak that shattered the lie that censorship was just a paranoid conspiracy theory. The documents expose how federal agencies had direct access to Twitter, quietly dictating what could and could not be said there. The government itself was deciding what information was safe for public consumption. And it wasn't just Twitter. Facebook, YouTube, and Google were all manipulating influence, ensuring only state-approved narratives made it through. This was never about keeping people safe. It was never about stopping misinformation. It was always about control. Then came the disinformation label, a convenient excuse to erase anything that threatened the establishment. Challenge the system? You're fake news. Find different news sources? You're pushing alternative facts. Misinformation became the ultimate tool for thought policing, used to silence whistleblowers, independent journalists, and anyone who dared step out of line. Free speech might not be illegal, but when powerful institutions bury, throttle, and erase dissenting voices, does it even matter? Do you have the right to speak? Or, better yet, is anyone allowed to hear you? Controlling speech through social media censorship was just one move in a much bigger game. While tech giants worked side by side with the government to shape the narratives people were allowed to see, another war was being fought in the shadows. This battle targeted the very foundation of free expression. The repeal of net neutrality was not just about deregulation. Net neutrality is the principle that internet service providers must treat all online content equally, without blocking, throttling, nor prioritizing certain websites or services for payment. In the US, strong net neutrality rules were adopted in 2015 under the Obama administration by classifying broadband as a utility under Title II of the Communications Act. However, these rules were repealed in 2018 by the Trump-era FCC, which argued they stifled innovation and investment.
We're still operating under the 2015 Obama-era rules, and when those rules are eventually officially off the books, consumers are going to continue to be protected. And this is one of the great things I think about our repeal.
Since then, the federal stance has shifted, and some states, like California, have enacted their own net neutrality protections, keeping the debate active around internet freedom and regulation. Without the safeguards that once guaranteed equal access to all online content, the corporate-government alliance gained the power to create a digital hierarchy where only approved voices could survive. This was not about free markets or innovation. It was about building a controlled internet where the right ideas flourished while the wrong ones were quietly erased. The result was a rigged system where those in power dictated what was worth knowing and what would be buried under the weight of the algorithm.
The bill includes URL-based removal and blocking orders for the violation of individual rights, as well as URL-based removal orders for privacy violations.
The consequences have been devastating. Alternative news sources are dismissed as fringe, while government-approved media gets boosted to the top of every feed. The internet is no longer a free marketplace of ideas. It is a manipulated pipeline of propaganda. Tech giants, acting as gatekeepers of digital discourse, now have the ability to shape public opinion by controlling who gets heard and who gets silenced. Government censorship is happening. Policymakers are eager to exploit their grip on digital platforms under the excuse of fighting misinformation or ensuring safety. But when access to different perspectives is cut off, democracy is nothing more than a performance. The battle for internet freedom is not over. Net neutrality regulations have faced legal challenges and rollbacks, but activists and some state governments are still pushing back. A few states have passed their own protections, while the fight at the federal level rages on. The real question is whether the public will wake up before the last bit of freedom is gone. Awareness and activism are the only things standing in the way of a fully controlled internet where truth is irrelevant and power decides who gets to speak.
What if I told you that most, if not all, of your online existence is fake? The articles you read, the Twitter accounts you follow, even this video you're watching right now. It's all fiction.
Artificial intelligence influencers are a growing industry, with some AI models gaining hundreds of thousands of followers and getting increasingly lucrative sponsorship deals.
Appears to be working on ways to alert users to AI created or modified content on its platform.
Dead internet theory. The theory that the people you interact with online do not exist.
There was a time when the internet reflected real human thought. It was chaotic, it was unpredictable, it was raw, but now everything feels scripted. The same narratives surface, the same opinions trend, the same talking points dominate every cycle. This is the dead internet theory. The idea is simple but terrifying. Much of what we see online is no longer organic. It is artificially generated. Algorithmic control has replaced human spontaneity. Bots, AI-written articles, and fake engagement create the illusion of universal agreement. Entire debates are staged, discussions are steered. Public opinion is no longer shaped by people, but by millions of artificial accounts designed to reinforce pre-approved narratives. The internet, once wild and untamed, has been sterilized into a controlled feedback loop. At the core of this shift is the rise of government-backed AI manipulation. Tech giants, working hand-in-hand with the state, have deployed AI-driven propaganda machines capable of shaping perception on a scale never before possible. State-sponsored troll farms push talking points around the clock. They drown out dissent, flood discussions with noise, and make it seem like certain viewpoints are held by the overwhelming majority. Fake grassroots movements are manufactured to create artificial outrage or enthusiasm whenever it serves the agenda. They do not need real public support, they just need the illusion of it. Authenticity is dying. Real conversations are buried beneath AI-engineered interactions. The internet is no longer a free space for thought. It has become a psychological battlefield where perception is manipulated in real time. In the digital age, you do not need to be locked up to be erased. Your reputation, career, and ability to speak can be wiped out instantly. A well-coordinated media assault, mass deplatforming, and algorithmic suppression can silence anyone before they even get a chance to defend themselves. Look at Russell Brand. Demonized, demonetized, declared guilty by a campaign of public perception before a single trial even began. 4 women came forward with detailed allegations of sexual misconduct and abuse by Brand. Accusations spread like wildfire across social media and mainstream news. Brand, once a celebrated comedian and outspoken commentator, was suddenly the target of an all-out media assault. The headlines framed the story before he could even open his mouth about it. The public perception of him was sealed by endless sound bites and opinion pieces.
Since when did the media become the first place you went to report an alleged rape? Not the police. The media. Now it's the Russell Brand allegations. Now it's accusing the Sunday Times in London of rape and sexual assault by 4 women. One was just 16 at the time. She says that the 30-year-old Brand groomed her.
He was painted as guilty by sheer volume alone, with no regard for fairness or due process. Then came the financial hit. YouTube swiftly demonetized his content, cutting off his income. Advertisers pulled their support. His career was kneecapped before he ever stepped foot in a courtroom. The most terrifying part, this was prior to any formal charges. No trial, no legal defense, just a digital lynching carried out by an outrage-fueled machine that thrives on speed, spectacle, and manufactured consensus. Brand insists he is innocent. He claims the accusations are part of a larger effort to silence him, to discredit his views on censorship, free speech, and government overreach. Whether you believe him or not, the pattern is impossible to ignore. This is not new. It's just evolved. Julian Assange exposed war crimes and was thrown in prison. Edward Snowden revealed illegal mass surveillance and was forced into exile. The system has always found ways to crush those who step out of line. Independent journalists and investigators are discredited before they even get a chance to provide credible sources. Today, it is public figures, whistleblowers, and investigative reporters. Tomorrow, it could be anyone who dares to question the system. Big Brother does not need to kick down doors or silence voices by force. The game has changed. Intelligence agencies have upgraded their tactics, running digital influence operations so sophisticated they do not just control the conversation, they are the conversation. They don't need to ban ideas outright. That would actually be too obvious. Instead, they bury them under an avalanche of noise. The internet is flooded with distractions, manipulations, and carefully scripted narratives designed to drown out anything that challenges the system. The result is a population that's too disoriented to tell fact from fiction. Big Brother's grip is no longer physical, it's digital, and it is everywhere. The most dangerous part of this control is the illusion of free thought. The best way to control people is not by telling them what to think, it's by making them believe they arrived at those thoughts on their own. Those in power have perfected this strategy. They do not need to force you into submission when they can shape the flow of information so precisely that you willingly accept their version of reality. Algorithms decide what you see. Carefully curated trends determine what you discuss. Before you even form your own opinion, it has already been molded to fit the system. We move through our daily lives, eyes glued to screens, absorbing a non-stop stream of pre-approved narratives wrapped in the disguise of independent thought. In a world where you are constantly told you are free to think for yourself, are you missing the fact that your choices are being orchestrated behind the scenes? Is this the America you want? They fear one thing above all else: you thinking for yourself. The moment you start questioning the script, the moment you refuse to swallow what you're told to without hesitation, that is when their control starts to slip. So what can you do? Support independent voices that refuse to bow to the establishment. Question anything that feels too polished, too rehearsed, too perfectly aligned with what they want you to believe. Recognize propaganda for what it is and refuse to let it dictate your thoughts. The fight for real freedom starts when you take back control of your own mind. Stop marching to a rhythm you never chose. It is time to pick up the sledgehammer. If you enjoyed this video, check out one of our other videos here.
Thank you.